Hi, I'm Brady Riggs. This week, we're going to give you a drill for getting that club shaft lined up correctly in the transition. And hopefully, we'll also kind of clear up a little confusion that's gone on about if the club is actually laid off at the top of the swing. Here's something to do first. Put a club shaft on the ground at about a 45-degree angle to the target line. This will give you a good reference point for lining the club correctly at the top. Now let's go through the top. And the thing to understand about if the club is laid off is that the transition and the top may or may not be the same thing. It does depend upon the player's flexibility and how much they've turned. So let's go through that. If I get the club lined up correctly on the way up, but I haven't made it all the way to the top, you can see that the club shaft looks like it's in a laid off position. But that's because it hasn't gone completely back up to parallel. If I turn a little bit more, then you'll see the shaft will keep going around and eventually be parallel to the target line. So if you're swinging a little short of parallel, don't be surprised if the club shaft isn't in what looks like a laid off position, but it will actually be on plane. Now to use the club shaft on the ground, as you're going towards the top, whether you rotate the left arm early or you wait a little bit longer to do it in the transition, remember that as the hands are a little bit below shoulder level, that's when we want that shaft lined up. And you can see here that the club shaft and the shaft that I put on the ground are actually parallel to each other. That's where you're trying to get. You don't want the club shaft by the time the club starts down to be steep in this position and not be parallel to the shaft that you put on the turf. The shaft on the turf will help give you an idea about where that club shaft should be pointing in the transition, not necessarily at the top of the swing.